Welcome to the 13th Annual Connecting Faith and Business Summit, a virtual symposium. Our theme, Pray, Pivot, Prepare, and Persevere in the Pandemic. A special thank you to our sponsors, partners, and supporters. American Business Bank, Beneficial Bank, Cathay Bank, Citizens Business Bank, Comerica Bank, Pacific Premier Bank, Pacific Western Bank, Union Bank, U.S. Bank, and Wells Fargo Bank. This year's presenting sponsor is AmPac Business Capital. AmPac finances startups and emerging businesses with loans from $5,000 to $150,000 and is a partner of the SBA in financial commercial real estate and equipment in the 504 loan program. Let's welcome the chair of the 13th Annual Connecting Faith and Business Summit, Hilda Kennedy.
Good morning. My name is Hilda Kennedy, and I am founder and president of AmPac Business Capital and chairperson of the annual Connecting Faith and Business Summit. And we are so delighted that you're joining us today, October 8th, and again on Friday, October 16th, as we work in this new environment to connect faith and business yet once again. We are doing what we're asking you to do. We're pivoting. But we're not only pivoting. This year's theme is pivoting, preparing, praying, and persevering during the pandemic. We hope that you will do that with us in these 2 days where we will do what we've done all these years. We will motivate, we will inspire, and we will educate. And in the education portion, our goal is to make sure that you get the tools and the resources to maximize your success as you look at business differently. Our goal is to make sure that you know about resources available to you to help you to pivot. Our goal, finally, is to make sure that you know that your faith need not waver. Although some of these things are new to some of us, they were never new to our God. It wasn't a surprise to him. AmPac Business Capital and all of our SBA partners are here for you. When we started the summits 13 years ago, our goal remained the same. AmPac is the first and only faith-based SBA partner in the country. And as such, we are committed to helping businesses to grow and expand. We're excited about the fact that we have served businesses with over $500 million in loans over our 13-year history. But we're not only doing loans. We're doing programs and classes to make sure that small businesses can not only survive, but thrive. And we're here for you. We said to our clients when the governor issued his first order, we care and we're here. And in this Connecting Faith and Business Summit, we hope you know not only does AmPac care, but so many of our partners care as well. We want to see you take you and your business to the next level. So thank you so much for joining us. And we thank the Small Business Administration, the Inland Empire Women's Business Center, the Inland Empire SCORE Chapter, the Inland Empire Small Business Development Center, and our great partner, Marketplace Chaplains, for joining us in this journey to remind you connecting faith and business does work. We want you to pray. We want you to prepare. We want you to persevere, and we want you to pivot because you can do it. Enjoy the next 2 days, the 8th and the 16th, as we work to get the best out of you and collectively learn together. Today, you're going to meet some incredible business leaders and faith-based leaders who have had to deal with what all of us are dealing with. Like we've done in previous years, we want you to lean in and listen to the stories of business and faith-based leaders. These are leaders who are presented today who've had to pivot. They, like you, are dealing with the effects of the pandemic. They've recognized it, they've wrestled with it, and they've pivoted. I know that you will enjoy this segment. So again, lean in, get your notepad, and get some great notes. Thank you so much again. I'm Hilda Kennedy, founder and president of AmPac Business Capital and chairperson of the Connecting Faith and Business Summit. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Hector Perez, and I'm with Marketplace Chaplains. I have the honor this year to open our time in prayer, and I'm one of the care partners that serves AmPac and several other companies in the Inland Empire. Honored to be here with you today, and I'd like to take this time now to just pray and ask the Lord to be with us during this symposium. Sovereign Lord, we come to you with grateful hearts, and we rest upon your promise that Jesus shared with us when he said, I have come to give you an abundant life. We know that it's your presence today that gives us courage to be strong in faith when we're facing uncertainty, especially in this time of pandemic. We know a lot of businesses and companies are right now challenged. So calm our hearts as we commence this year's Connecting Faith and Business Symposium. Help every participant experience new breakthroughs by learning new concepts, and most importantly, by relying upon your promise that was shared by the prophet Isaiah, who said, I am the Lord your God, who takes you by the right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you. So we ask you to help us how to pivot with intelligence when we face challenges in our business or our personal lives. Prepare us for the days that lie ahead by keeping our eyes fixed on you, the author and perfecter of our faith. Holy Spirit, give us patience and tenacity so that we could be like Christ, persevering until the end, and we never quit. Bless the speakers who are going to share with us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. May what they share with us today help enhance our skills so that we learn to grow our businesses and we impact lives, especially the lives of our employees. We ask this in the mighty name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
My office, the Office of the Small Business Advocate, focuses on small business and innovative startups, on ensuring opportunities, identifying barriers, and partnering to help businesses start, manage, and grow and be resilient. We have three main focus areas. Our objectives are providing information and resources, the content that you need to succeed, advocating on behalf of small businesses and innovative startups, and supporting preparedness and strategies for resilience. So let's jump into the first segment of information. We have a small, agile team that provides direct assistance, including a newly announced appointed Southern California advisor, Chris Earle, who starts on Monday, actually. And we're working on developing content. We have webinars that are available just to get information out there to businesses, everything from initially how to access that PPP or get capital, how to pivot your business during these times, which I know is the focus of this conference. And you can find all these sessions on our website. We also work with a network of agency partners, the advocates and the liaisons at different state agencies to make sure that small businesses can navigate state government and can access the resources they need. Most importantly, GO-Biz and my office fund a network of local assistance centers on the ground who support advisors and can provide one-on-one consulting, trainings. And most recently, they've really been focused on supporting businesses as they adapt to this marketplace and providing digital strategies, technology tools, et cetera. And in the Inland Empire, where I know AmPac is based, we have several organizations, throughout the state. These are the small business development centers, the women's business centers, the procurement centers, et cetera. So let's go a little bit more into the voice of small business and what we do for you on the ground on a daily basis in the state and in private markets. As the voice of small business, we do focus on advocating in the markets, like I said, both private and in government, and we focus on increasing access to capital, access to markets, the revenue side of the equation, and access to networks, which is the critical lifeblood of any entrepreneur looking for answers. On the capital front, we are working behind the scenes to advocate for funding across government, private philanthropy, and impact investors as well. Especially critical when we look to try to help lift up the community mission-based lenders who are filling the gaps for many small businesses during COVID. For example, the governor funded $50 million for disaster loans early on during the pandemic in April. And in addition, in the state budget, there was another $75 million that was allocated by the governor and the legislature to support the Small Business Finance Center, those guarantee products to give low-cost loans to small businesses. Part of that money, another $25 million, was put into an innovative solution in the private market. The state invested in a fund to support community-based lenders in their efforts to fund small businesses. So the state's programs are available at ibank.ca.gov and encourage you to get familiar with that site as well. On the other front, on access to networks, we support the Entrepreneurship Task Force. It's a 15-member group that is really committed to serve as the bridge to small businesses and entrepreneurs. Gives us an opportunity to hear directly from small businesses that they talk to or themselves so that we can be that voice. The group itself has supported over 15 different webinars and trainings and reached over 30,000 people during this COVID crisis, just in trying to make sure that they're connected to the information. On the final point on access to markets, we really do lean into the revenue side of the equation because loans are not the only solution. Definitely building up your revenues is important during this time. And we're committed to both increasing small business participation in the supply chains, private or the government sector, especially during this time where more people are focused on nearshoring or onshoring, building up our local supply chains to survive during these pandemics. Then the last thing on e-commerce, we can go ahead and jump into that one. We've focused on e-commerce as a pathway specifically as a way to expand to markets globally. However, during COVID, it has become increasingly clear that small businesses need technology just to survive in local markets. Survey was done by Google. 93% of businesses were disrupted by COVID, and 85% were rethinking their approach to digital tools. So that is anything from Zoom to cashless payment systems, e-commerce solutions, and we're focusing on e-commerce where we can directly expand revenues. We know that a third of businesses said that they would not have survived. They would have closed all or part of their business if it were not for technology tools. So we launched Get Digital California to help California small businesses build the digital skills they need to compete in an online marketplace and create safer shopping experiences for consumers to improve resilience. And a little more details on the initiative itself. As you can see, this is a build-up onto our Shop Safe, Shop Local initiative, where we provided over 20 corporate partner tools, discounts, resources for you to tap, everything from a GoDaddy website for free to assistance with Google and how to amplify and get yourself online and reach your consumers. So there's lots of offerings here at the Get Digital California site via these Shop Safe, Shop Local tools. In addition, jumping in just into the further expansion of this campaign, Get Digital California dove into the Google training specifically because we wanted to make sure that your customers could find you. Main streets aren't bustling like they used to. It's definitely shifted to the internet. So, if you visit our website, you'll be able to get all these pre-recorded sessions with Google that have been done over the past couple of weeks. And stay tuned for future boot camps and trainings and digital festivals as we near the holiday season, because we know we need to position businesses to get online with e-commerce and then help drive consumers to your newly created sites online. Finally, the last thing that we focus on is preparedness and resilience. I encourage you all to use the government-backed outsmartdisaster.com tool. It's been improved recently thanks to recent grants, and you can take the Resilient Business Challenge. It's a 5-step course. You can walk through at any time that's convenient for you and get a completion badge from GO-Biz. And there's also a toolkit of resources. We've learned during this time that you have to be prepared, from all angles in your business. And this is just another way for you to make sure that your business is resilient. And of course, on an ongoing basis, as so many businesses throughout the state have had to deal with not only the pandemic, but recent wildfires, we constantly list our disaster resources. And these is everything from, tax relief to, ways to engage with agencies during a disaster when your business is suffering or closed or has damage. So both the wildfire resources and the COVID resources are listed here. You can navigate through state and federal programs at these sites for assistance at any time. And so finally, just making sure that you have all the contacts, ways to reach us. We've listed a bunch of websites for you and ways to track us online. Stay in touch with us. Follow us online to stay abreast of our programs and initiatives that we roll out in our ongoing effort to be the voice of small business and support you as you start, manage, and grow. We're here as a resource for you to help you navigate the state and the small business and innovation ecosystems to make sure that it's inclusive and available to all of you. So thank you again for having me. My best wishes for an amazing rest of your summit and for your continued success and support during this time.
Good day, everyone. My name is Robin Allen. I'm honored to be here. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Watchman Investigations, LLC. Thank you so much for showing up to have this experience, to share this experience with us. I'm a licensed private investigator, and I've been running a company with my dad for close to 20 years now. It's a company that I actually took over from him recently, just before the pandemic. I also am a national consultant on jails and prison work, and I facilitate dialogue between law enforcement agencies and the community. I'm honored to share this day with you. These have been troubling times, and we've all experienced challenges as business owners in our own businesses. For instance, distance learning with young children. That's something that I've had to be a part of during the pandemic while managing business, and really time management, and also pivoting to figure out how to continue making my business a profitable one when I've been so accustomed to working in person with individuals, conducting interviews as a private investigator in person, just figuring out how to really be creative during these times and how I could really take advantage of operating in this virtual world. And so I'd like to pose the question, how have you been able to pivot, and what challenges have you faced during this pandemic? I'd like to introduce our panelists. Dr. Brian Kennedy, Senior Pastor, Mount Zion Church of Ontario. Panelist Jason Cowles, Managing Partner, Nitrogen Express. And panelist Mary Lynn Baker, President and Owner, DH Casters. Welcome to Connecting Faith and Business, Praying, Pivoting, Preparing, and Persevering During the Pandemic, How Business and Faith-Based Leaders Have Done It.
The pandemic, when we had to change up because of COVID-19, At that time, there was over 2 million people infected with COVID, and we were over 120,000 people who had lost their lives because of COVID-19. Many churches followed the orders from the CDC and refrained from large gatherings. And that is a huge change for the church. Never in our history, we're over 2,000 years old, the church, and never in our history have we had to worldwide cease or refrain from large gatherings. So this was historic. It was right before the largest gathering of churches around the world, which is Easter. And so we had to pivot quickly. And I am clearly convinced that on Easter 2020, the church reached more people in the world than in history, because we had to go online. Churches quickly went online because COVID cannot stop the church. We're unstoppable. Jesus already said that. And so we simply pivoted, and we went to online platforms like Zoom and other platforms, Microsoft Team, and you name it. We went to all those platforms. And this is kind of funny, but if one person would have stood up and said, okay, churches, pastors, this year we want to reach more people than ever before, and of course we would have been divided. Some of us would have pushed back because, we don't follow that person at his denomination, or we can't be a part of that. But this year, without anyone speaking or leading, churches reach more people for Jesus in 2020 than ever before in history. So we have been affected in regards to our physical contact, because the church is an organism. We're a living organism, and we minister to one another naturally. That's who we are, according to 1 Corinthians 12. And God has given us the command to not forsake the assembling of one another. So we had to really work through that, and we're discovering the challenges, the emotional challenges. Our counseling load has increased because people are having difficulty relating in small spaces over long periods of time. We're dealing with people who feel boxed in, they feel closed in. So we started an outdoor service. We had to do something. We bought tents, we bought chairs, we bought all kind of supplies so that we could meet the needs of the people. With this in mind, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. The church is unstoppable. We've been through more difficult things than this in our past. We went through 350 years of persecution by the Romans. Surely we can handle a COVID-19 or anything else that comes our way.
We supply nitrogen to essential businesses. So in March, exactly March 16th, we lost 95% of our revenue. It was a scary time. We didn't know exactly what we were going to do. We started modeling all of the different scenarios. Back then, we didn't know very much. We know a lot more about the crisis now that we've gone through it than we did at that time. So we had to figure out as much information as we could as fast as we could. So in the early days, we were helped because we do supply nitrogen to essential businesses. So all of our drivers had letters from our fertility clinics and our medical laboratories. They would get pulled over by police officers on their way to work, and they would have to show this letter to show that they could, in fact, be on the road. And then they would also be stopped and questioned when they were delivering nitrogen. So it was a pretty crazy time. The first thing that I did as a leader was we started looking at our cash flow position and how long we could survive with the cash that we had on hand, losing all of our revenue. I had a little disagreement with my wife. We made the decision to take zero compensation when this happened. That's not necessarily the best conversation to have with your wife, but we worked through it. You know, we trusted the Lord, a lot of prayer, a lot of study in God's Word, and also taking care of personal finances is really important as a business owner. In the Bible, you know, Paul talks about being content, you know, being content with very little, but also being content with much. And sometimes it's hard to tell yourself not to make that purchase when possibly you could. And so some of those decisions were very helpful when we lost all of our revenue and we had to go to zero compensation personally. But one of the things that it helped for us was it was a leadership tool, because a lot of our employees took voluntary pay cuts also, just so that we could figure this out and last longer. And so we were hit really hard, just like everybody else. And I think some of those things that we did early on ended up helping us manage this crisis much easier and come out of it in a strong position.
We all know it was a shock when it came and actually knocked on our door. I mean, we knew what was going on in China and around the world a little bit, but when it really became real here, I don't think any of us were ready for it. So, you know, what happened with our company is the sales started to slow down, and then they actually just came to a complete halt. We had never, ever had a day where we didn't have sales. So when that happened, and we could see at this point what was coming, I made a business decision to shut my door. And the reason I did that is I wanted to make sure when this was done that I had the resources to open back up. So as a company, we got together in the warehouse, and actually we just said a prayer and we talked about it, because we are a faith-filled business, and that's what we use to get through the tough times. So we decided that we would shut down. We, hoped it was just going to be a short period of time, and really it only was. And we were only closed for, I believe it was 2 weeks. And then we started to have customers that needed products. So we started to come in slowly, and it was only a couple hours, and it was a couple days, and then it wasn't long and we were back up to full operation. But we didn't bring everybody back until we did get the P3 loan from the government. So that's what really allowed us to come back. But during that time, it just was surreal, because, you would never, ever think that we'd have to make a decision to close a business and shut the doors to something that provided income, not only for myself and my family, but for all the families that work here. So it was a very, very difficult day, but we rallied and we made changes within the company that allowed us to operate. And what we did right away is we looked at it like we were on a seesaw. So it was, whether you're looking at the economy side of it or if you were looking at the safety side of it. And we tried to find that balance between the two, and so we could satisfy both ends, which was really challenging. And what we were able to do was make sure that right away we put the protocol into place that kept us safe. So, if we had someone sharing a small office, we moved someone into the warehouse or into the conference room. If we had someone that, wanted to work from home, they got to work from home. So we have someone that actually has a newborn baby, and she just didn't want to come back to work, and so she's doing customer service from home, and it's been fine. It's worked out great for us, and she can do what she needs to do through this time. And we also made sure we got masks for everybody right away. We put a cleaning protocol into place, so we clean every day and wipe everything down. We changed the way that we do lunches. We stagger our lunches. We moved the table from the enclosed the break room out into the warehouse, so there was more open air and people could spread out more. And the other thing we did is we changed our will call policy. Where before we'd have people come to the back to pick up the casters and wheels, and they would come into our warehouse. Well, now we don't let them come into the warehouse. We have them call, and we have the product ready. We have it delivered to them. We do a no-touch will call, and it's been fine. Customers have been very happy with it. We're able to keep both parties safe, which is what we're really trying to do. And the other thing we did is, we marketed through this too, because we wanted people to know that we were an essential business and that we were here to support them. So we were sending emails out and doing things on social media. And in that, we decided that we would even create our brand ambassador with the mask on. So this has been kind of fun. This is Dharma, as I get her back in the picture here. This is Dharma, and we felt that she needed to go through this pandemic with us. So she has her mask on also.
So I'd like to pose a question to our panelists. Have there been opportunities where you've been able to reset your business and pivot in your business during this economy?
One of the things that COVID-19 has done for the church, it's done good as well as damage. It's caused many of us to rethink how we do ministry. How do we operate in a world that is very different today? 50 years ago we operated one way, but today we operate in a culture that does not welcome absolute truth. We really want more of a pluralistic society where everybody and everybody's views are welcome, even if we don't agree. And so we just go with the flow, and it's more pluralistic. But the Bible is not really pluralistic. The Bible is very, very tied into God, and God being the Lord of all, and God who created us saying, I set the standards, and this is what I expect from you. I have come after you with an eternal love, and I have saved you, and I've changed you, and this is what I want. And so with that in mind, we've had to rethink how we deliver ministry in a COVID environment. We had an online presence, but it needed a focused agenda. It needed a focused approach. So we were just getting by. It was mediocre. It was not 5-star. And COVID forced us to put some of our youngest and brightest members onto this project of online presence so that we represent the Lord well. And so we're doing a lot better. It's like night and day, the difference between our online presence. We also had to look at our connectivity as a church. We looked at all 104 ministries that we have operating, and we noticed that 85 of them, 85 ministries are operating. And so we had to provide systems for our members to connect and stay connected to one another. So we reinforce connections. For instance, with our Monday night prayer meeting, we were averaging about 25, 30 people. Now, prayer is one of the most important components to church. If you don't have prayer, you're moving with a major disadvantage. And so because of COVID, we went online. We provided phone lines for our prayer teams to call into. And now we average over 100 people in prayer meeting every Monday night. So COVID helped strengthen our prayer ministry, the foundational ministry for our church. Something else happened, our Helping Hands ministry, where we give out food and try to be a resource to the community. It's always been an essential service, but during COVID, because so many people are hungry, our Helping Hands ministry really became an essential ministry where we secured more food supplies. And since COVID started, we've fed over 4,000 people in our community. We have a lot of hungry people. And we do not give out little small packages. We give out very hefty and healthy food packages every week and sometimes throughout the week. And so these are the things that we've had to change operationally. In regards to our finances, and that's really a big deal, our government, our Congress, and our senators stepped up and said, you know what? We need to help our businesses around the country. And, I just pause to thank God for our political leaders. And it really was a joint effort between our Congress and our senators, our U.S. congressmen and senators. And they said, we need to provide some type of support for our businesses. And in their legislation, they included churches, because the pandemic was timed such that we were coming toward the spring of the year, which is a good time for the church. But guess what? The summer months are times when we usually experience a drop in financial support. And so the stimulus money came out, the payroll protection program. And we have over 30 employees at Mount Zion. We have a preschool plus our employees. And we were concerned about the church ending physical services and going online. We had no idea what was going to happen with the financial support. And so we, along with several other churches, applied for payroll protection, because that was not the time during COVID. That was not the time for us to lay off employees. People were dying. We got essential workers coming in and out of the church, trying to keep the people together, trying to encourage people who've been laid off, trying to provide food for hungry families and keep things going. That was not the time to lay people off. And it's not the time now to lay people off. And so we're very thankful that we were able to apply and qualify for the payroll protection program. And so now we're in the summer months and people go on vacation and the financial support drops. And so we're thankful that we are able to keep people on board at Mount Zion. So these are some of the practical things that we've had to deal with COVID-19. COVID is going to be with us for a while. The flu is still with us. And we have other things that are with us, and we will have to learn how to live with COVID. Despite some vaccine that will come out, COVID's not going away anytime soon. So the church will have to continue working through practical ways to live with COVID. Even as we are able to regather physically, we'll have to do that in a safe way. We'll have to be thoughtful. Just like businesses are having to be very thoughtful in how they continue their business operations. The travel industry will have to be thoughtful. With Zoom taking the place of many flights and hotels, the travel industry will have to rethink that, and we will have to rethink it just like businesses. Who goes on the trip? Because you still can't replace physical presence and physical interaction. I get zoomed out. I promise you. I get zoomed out. I don't even want to see a computer screen at the end of some days. But if I'm in a physical meeting with people throughout the day, I'll enjoy dinner with them, and we will continue having meaningful discussion. And so we will still have to think through, how do we do travel? Who gets to go on those trips? What hotels are we going to stay in? and the list goes on and on. So we have to live with COVID. COVID is not going anywhere soon.
This crisis was amazing for me personally. It allowed me to enter into a greater trust relationship with God. You know, the Bible teaches that I'm allowed to worry as much as God worries, and He's not worried at all. You know, I'm allowed to worry as much as that bird outside that's chirping. You know, He's not thinking about what he's going to eat or where he's going to sleep. And the Bible says that God cares for me much more than the bird outside. So it was an opportunity for me to trust God in areas that maybe I hadn't fully trusted Him. And I am thankful for a crisis that pushes me into a closer relationship with God. And so personally, all of the difficulties that I went through and that my family went through and that our team went through, you know, we had to let people go, amazing team members that they didn't do anything wrong. It's just the environment changed around us. So all of those opportunities basically kind of hardened our team and me personally. I've got some scabs, you know, but they grew back healthier, and it's like a muscle. When you work out, it grows back bigger and stronger. And so that's the way we feel. We have so many new opportunities. I mean, honestly, it was difficult just to do these interviews. We've got so many business opportunities coming in, you know, from companies that have heard about us. We did a lot of things that weren't maybe necessarily revenue motivated, more altruistic during this time to help people out, and those things are paying off. And I think that a lot of times, you know, great companies and great leaders, they're just waiting for a crisis to make them stand out in some way. And that's really happened with us. We've been able to we've been able to cut some expenses, cut some fat.
Through this pandemic, more than ever, my networking has really paid off. And, you know, there was a time that I thought, gosh, am I going to too many workshops? Am I going to too many things to be with people? But really, when things get rough, it's that strength that pulls you together from having people to talk to and share things with. So what I've been able to do is, first of all, the SCDC, part of SBA organization, was extremely helpful at the beginning of the pandemic of talking about the PPP loan and trying to understand what I needed to do and when was it coming out and how to get lined up for it. So I talked to them a lot. They were extremely helpful. Then I also have my score advisors from the SBA, and the same thing. It's like just being able to talk about marketing ideas, talking about how to get creative, how to pivot, what do we need to do different. And again, not to just sit there and feel sorry for ourselves and feel scared. It's like, how can we take action? How can we make a difference? And, you know, I do network with a lot of people. I'm part of the National Association of Women Business Owners. And again, just listening to the workshops and the different ideas that people have and sharing experiences and listening to stories and just also saying, I'm not sure what we're going to do. How are we going to handle this? You know, all really helps a lot.
fortunate for my business because of operating in a virtual world. I haven't really taken it as a negative, even though some of the opportunities have, fallen to the wayside. But then it's presented new opportunities, because we can't forget that now, we're operating on a national and even global stage, being able to operate in a virtual environment. And that has also been one of the biggest blessings, is that I've been able to participate and gain contracts nationally that otherwise I wouldn't have been able to gain, especially as a mom in business, which has been a challenging time, just figuring out how to keep my kids getting a good quality education, while staying safe during these times. But it's really opened up another world. And, I just urge everyone to really seize the moment and figure out how you can take your business both nationally and globally to capitalize on some of the other opportunities. So I just urge everyone to just really be creative in this time. Clearly, during these challenging times, our faith has been challenged, but we must remember where our strength comes from and who's really supporting us. Okay, and that's our Heavenly Father. But I want to know, how has your faith been challenged? And what are your plans for moving forward?
COVID-19 has not only challenged the church to reflect on how we're currently operating, but it's causing us to rethink, how do we envision? Envisioning is where we look out and decide the direction we're going in. We don't necessarily bring our past with us. We're aware of our past, but we set a path, a navigation path, and we head in that direction. And so there are new opportunities that we're envisioning. We're getting glimpses of those things right now. For instance, the church, the congregation, is international. It's not localized. It's more global now. We have several members who joined the church from Africa. We have people who are in our Bible studies across the nation. We have people who are in our prayer meetings and demanding that we maintain our prayer meeting structure, and they're from around the country. Our Bible studies have increased in number. The seniors who don't drive at night are now involved in Bible study and prayer meeting, and just as happy as they could be because they feel included. Some of the new opportunities are, how do we grow ministry with limited space? For instance, our goal is to have over 500 people in our Sunday Bible study from 9:30 to 10:30. Well, our building can only hold about 400 people. So how do you set a goal and you don't even have the physical space? COVID-19 has presented opportunities. They were there, but it's made us really hone in on the new opportunities. You don't have to have the physical space. You need to have the online presence, and consider the extra people who come online as a part of your growth. And so even localized growth, you can look at some people who will join the class online and some people who will be there physically. So we can't go backwards. We have these online platforms, and so we maintain them. We do a hybrid type ministry now, where you have both gas and electric. And so we have the physical space, and we also have the online platforms. The church is not going to go backwards. We're going to go forward with a hybrid model in ministry. So those are great opportunities for us. Even financing of the church's operations, we have new opportunities. Some churches were hesitant to set up online giving, but today if you're going to be relevant, if you're going to meet people where they are, people want to be generous. People want to give to the church because the church has been a stabilizing force in the midst of COVID. We don't have enough psychologists in the country to deal with all of the fallout from COVID, but the church stands right there to bring stability. And so in order to keep churches functioning at a 5-star level, you have to go online and give people opportunities to give. So those are a couple examples of the opportunities before us.
This experience has challenged my faith in many ways, and a lot of times you know things happen and you have to pre-prepare, and so a lot of your decisions are sometimes just gut instinct, and they're simply reactions because you don't have a lot of time to think about it, and decisions need to be made. So I prepared well in advance for this, the same way I prepare, reading God's word every day and in prayer, and involved in my local church. I have a lot of wise counselors that are available to me, and those relationships take time of cultivating, having somebody that you can call when you're in a situation and get their perspective. It takes a lot of energy to maintain those relationships and to have that person, that bat phone that you can call and get a different perspective. So I prepared by having people in my life that I trust and that know me and that maybe know some of my weaknesses and some of the areas where I have a tendency to maybe be blind. And so going into this crisis, I was pre-prepared, and I can't speak enough about preparing today for the next crisis. But because I did those things, it made it much more navigable for my team and I to figure out what to do, what we needed to do cash flow wise to survive, what communications we needed to send out. Honestly, I saw all kinds of opportunities in the storm. I actually called one of our competitors and I said, hey, listen, everyone's struggling here. You guys might have some essential businesses that you cannot get to. And I just want to let you know that we're prepared and we can help you out. And here's my number if you guys need any assistance. And some of those competitors honestly aren't here anymore. I mean, the COVID crisis was that bad. And so we are benefiting from, unfortunately, some of the mistakes that other business owners made, whether they didn't have enough cash to get through, whether they weren't working with their bank. Having a wonderful relationship with AmPac is a benefit because everyone was trying to get a portion of the government stimulus that was available. So you have to pre-prepare for these crises, and we know that they're coming. And so because we were pre-prepared in those ways, it helped us navigate the waters easier and better.
Well, I think one of the things that has been helpful to me is there's been fear in my life before, and I've learned that when you have fear, the best thing to do is to rely on your faith. Is to have conversations with God, is to pray, is to talk about it, not just to hold it inside. So what we did is we talked as a team. We talked as a whole family here about what was going on, about the uncertainty. And we got together and we held hands and we said a prayer. When we got the P3 money, we got together and I said, you guys, this is a gift. This is totally a gift from God. And I really believe that. And I believe that it was an opportunity for us, not just to get through what was going on, but to get stronger through it. And I really encourage everybody to look at it as an opportunity and to do what they could to do their part to make the pastor stronger through this.
Closing, I just want us all to remember Psalm 46. It's one of my favorite scriptures, is that God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in times of trouble. Now, that's the part that I actually memorized. But therefore we will not fear, though the earth be moved, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. I just want us to all, moving forward, keep that in mind. And I just want to thank our panelists tremendously. And thank you all for sharing your time with us.
I'm Janise Graham, owner of Entrepreneurs Insurance Services and Small Business Style. Today, I'd like to share with you a pivoting tip. And this one's going to come from both sides of the businesses that I own. We're going to talk, one, about pivoting in your insurance, and secondly, a little bit about business succession planning. So let's start with the fun part. Let's start with the insurance first. During this time, I know you've seen a lot of things, a lot of changes, and maybe your business has been shut down for a while, and maybe you've learned a little bit about something called business interruption insurance. A lot of people are talking about it right now because a lot of people don't have it. Let me tell you why they don't have it. They don't have it because they don't know to have it. It is really important that you build a relationship with your insurance professional. Have conversations, have consultative conversations. Don't rely on having transactional conversations. That just leads to the cost of something. Share a little bit about your business, the importance of your business, and what you do, and allow your professional to help you put the right coverages in place. Business interruption insurance has been around for a long time. I think a lot of people are going to learn a little bit more about it and how it actually works. Now let's talk a little bit about your succession and business succession. Oh, what does that mean? That means you might not be here. You may not be here by choice, or you may not be here because of something that happens. Business succession is so important, and I know there's so many of you thinking about it right now. You may not be thinking about it with those words in that term, but you're really thinking about, how do I get out of this? Or if I get out of this, do I want to come back? I liken it to creating a flight plan. You're flying this plane, you've been in business for a long time, you're way up in the air, and all of a sudden, here comes a little bit of turbulence. We'll call it COVID. With this turbulence comes the reality of, I need to land this plane. When do I land this plane? Is there a landing strip available when I want to land this plane? And how long is that landing strip? That is your succession plan. When you put a plan in place and you land this plane, you may decide to get out of the plane, walk down the stairs, bow down, kiss the tarmac, and run off. Or you may land your plane, land it safely, get off, stretch a little, and say, that was fun, I want to go back up again. And you may continue the business, you may start another business. The choice is yours. And the key word is that the choice is yours. Create a plan, and you hear that so often and we don't know what that means. The reality is that with succession planning, it starts with an idea, a dream, a goal for the future. Start there, start where it's safe. Create that vision, basically beginning with the end in mind, and then take baby steps backwards to really understand and determine how your plan is going to land in the future. If you're not going to pilot it, who's going to be the co-pilot? Who's going to be your heir apparent? What type of legacy are you leaving for your business? What about your employees? They know they have a job today. They just assume they'll have a job tomorrow. They're counting on you to create a plan that will help them now and in the future. So I am sharing with you things that I've seen over the past 25 years. I've been in the financial services industry that long. I've been in business for 20 years. My business anniversary was last month. Happy anniversary to me. So I have seen a lot
of different things go very well, and I've seen a lot of things go not so well. Business planning is almost like emergency preparedness. It is no different than preparing for an earthquake, a hurricane, a fire. If you have a strategy, you will tend to work a little calmer and move towards the exit, so to speak. So I hope this business pivot tip helps you and helps those around you, and may God continue to bless you and your business.